Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. Yet again, I brought on another fantastic group of independent comic book creators. So please hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. Don't forget, the Oswald Chronicles currently running on Kickstarter. Got probably another couple hours left on that baby, so go check it out. Pledge if you can, but it's there for you. All right. Without further ado, I got this guy.
You got this guy right here. This guy who hasn't shaved in a couple of minutes. I don't know. I grow a beard like that, in a drop of a hat. What's up, brother? How you doing tonight?
I'm well, man. I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So the question is, how you doing?
I'm doing good. For those who do not know me, I'm JD Rosario from Unstoppable Comics. Been making books since 2008, putting my money where my mouth is, and slowly climbing up that hill. And I am sure that Calderon has put together a great cast of people who have also been climbing up that hill in their creative careers. So, Calderon, why don't you bring on the first guy, bro?
Hey, look at that. What's up, everybody? I am Mr. Fish from Mr. Fish Comics, fastest working man at Indy Comics. I am just about to wrap up, probably tomorrow, the 99th book that I've worked on in 6 years. And I have put out 14 of my own. One of them just finished on Kickstarter, but you can still go to Go Mr. Fish and you can still put in late pledges for a few more days. So it's still open if anybody wants to hop in on it.
My man, way to be.
Very nice. Very nice. Next guest.
Hello.
So, Philip, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, Philip Tarl Denson. I have not done 99 books. I've done one. But it was our first one. I'm a screenwriter, typically, got film and TV stuff. I've got a film with Ridley Scott's company. But last year during the writer's strike, we went into the comic stuff. It's a comic I've been working on for a while, and we just wanted to hit it up. But yeah, it's on Amazon at the moment, but we can talk about that later.
All right, cool. And Mr. DC, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? I am Deece Casillas. I am an internationally touring comedian and writer, and just launched my first comic book, Kill Stan, which is available. We got a couple days left on the Kickstarter. It is fully funded, but we're still trying to get break 5,000 and get to that, maybe even 6,000 if we can. So,
all right. Very nice, very nice. Last but certainly not least, Mr. Nandor.
Hey.
What's up, sir? Please introduce yourself.
Hey, JD. Hey, guys. I'm Nandor Fox Shaffer. I'm the owner of Foxhole Comics. I'm the writer-creator of books such as Seasons, Lifeline, Man-Child, most recently The Fabled Offering, which just got fulfilled and released. And we're funding Man-Child issue 3 on Kickstarter right now. So, yeah, I've been making comics for about 7 years and working on my 7th book.
All right, cool.
Way to be, bro.
Very nice, very nice. All right, gentlemen. So we got this show question and answer. So let's try to burn through this baby quick. So here it is. What are your concerns in comics now, and what are you doing about it? And these are your own personal concerns. I mean, if you want to go through the wider one, that's fine. But but your personal concerns. What are your personal concerns? Let's start with Philip. You're in the hot seat, sir.
Yeah, concerns. It's interesting. From the Kickstarter side of things, we came into a time when things went really well. I think we made about 10 grand US on our book, but the difference that I found was because we were doing a graphic novel, so it was all standalone, 100 pages. It had based on IP. It's called Future Tales. It's like fairy tales, but in a cyberpunk post-apocalyptic world. And so like classic characters that everyone knew. So I came at it a bit like, oh, this is fun, this is easy. But then just started getting more into the world and realizing that no, it really isn't. We tried some other books. Our second book did really well, but our third one just didn't. And so we're just realizing that it's a marketing game. So that's probably my big concern. It's all about how do we get it out there, how do we market, how do we touch our audience.
All right, cool. And what are you trying to do to combat that? Like, what are your A and B plans, I guess?
I'm coming on to the JD Calderon. This is what I'm doing. No, we're touching a few international stuff. We're jumping on things like this, but in that marketing world, we're kind of it's word of mouth as well. We're getting a bit of good reviews on our one, and it's really a test for us because living where we are, I'm from Australia. We built an audience here, and then that word of mouth kind of helped us with the Kickstarter. We almost use the Kickstarter as a marketing thing internationally, just because I don't know if you're the same. I'll scroll Kickstarter looking for new comics now. I do that more when I go to my local comic book store now. I want the independent stuff. I want something that I haven't seen before. Mm-hmm. So I felt like that really helped us. We had at least 50% of our sales were from North America and bits in Europe as well. So then it's all about now being on Amazon, just trying to get the word out, making sure it's that when people have the opportunity, they can get it. And we made it cheap as well. So I don't know. It's one of those things. We're just kind of doing everything we can to get the hands out.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, it's a good thing you jumped in because I was going to say God help you, but okay. But DC, so what are your thoughts on the question?
Yeah, I mean, marketing is always the big question, right? Like, how do you get it out to people, especially, in another country? I don't know what your shipping rates are like trying to get it out to people. But if you're on Amazon digitally and stuff, that sounds like a big part of it. I mean, for me, I mean, I come from a marketing background, so I'm like boots on the ground, like even every, email lists, just direct marketing to people. And I mean, I'll call comic book shops to try to get it in there. I'm a big believer in conventions too. Like I've been hitting a bunch of conventions and that's been really successful. It's just a tough, I mean, it's how do you connect to your people, the people that are going to want the book. I mean, the good news is, in my opinion, I think that the people who are into comic books are really into comic books, and the people who are into indie comic books are really into indie comic books, and they will share that with other people that are like-minded. I mean, it's a small demographic and it's shrinking every day, unfortunately, I think. But this is what we chose to do, right? So you just gotta find those people and hold on to them and keep delivering the best product you can. But I think it's trying to find a way to retain the people that have purchased from you before,
All right, fair enough. And to follow up, how are you working on retaining those people?
Well, for me, it's I'm only on my first book right now, but for past projects where I'm trying to continually give someone product, it's delivering it to them quality, quickly, responsively, and staying in contact with those people afterwards, keeping marketing materials flowing to them, updates on what's happening with future projects, yourself. Because I mean, for me personally, not just in comic books or writing, but in any art that I follow, I invest in creators. So like if I'm really into the creator, I want to know other things they're doing, even if it's something that maybe isn't, if I found them in music, but now they're also writing this book, like, oh, well, let me check out this book because I like this person. So I think marketing yourself is really important and something that, people, especially in like the comic book medium, are pretty bad at, because people in comic books can be a little antisocial or a little reclusive, or or just socially awkward. It's it's like so it can be tough to figure out how, and also like marketing yourself feels gross sometimes, but if people, I mean, think about how many Kickstarters you guys have done and people who have bought books that had no clue who you were, right? Just like bought a book cold off of Kickstarter. Like that's someone who believed in something you put down in that they believed it. So like that's your customer now, you know, it's your customer to lose. So it's like do everything you can to try to hang on to those people that are there.
Mhm. Yeah, but I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody I've ever met in comics, they're all friendly and polite, nice.
I didn't say they weren't.
They back everything.
They're not all socially awkward. They're not all weird.
Not a
No.
one. Not a one.
It doesn't take being bent a little bit to want to do this for a living. No, not at all.
I don't know.
Listen, this is a guy who does stand-up comedy for a living, and we're broken people. Okay, I get it. A different type of person, but it is a broken person.
We don't know what you're talking about. Nandor, what are your thoughts?
On the question or on marketing or
No, on the question.
Just life in general.
on the question? Yeah, just life in general. You know, I was thinking a lot about this question over the last day or two. I was like trying to come up like what is like a proper concern that I have, because to be honest, I'm always thinking about the book I'm working on now, right? Like I'm concerned with what how it's being perceived, how I'm marketing myself, if I'm making progress, compared to my previous work, and I'm trying to look at the what I've built over the last few years, and things like that. But so that was where I kind of started with this question. But I think looking at it from a more top down or broader perspective, for me, just something that I've seen, and I know a lot of people talk about this. I know it's been reiterated time and time again. But I think it is an important part of being in the indie comic scene, community, however you want to put it. But for me, it's my main concern is just kind of the clubhouse mentality of indie comics, and the kind of the clubhouse mentality of making comics, and sometimes how it can feel like you have to be in certain cliques or what have you, and so like for me that's been a concern that I've seen, that I wish I would see less of. But in doing my part to fix that, something that I've been trying to do and that I've been trying to keep mindful of is being friendly with people, and just trying to be friendly with people that are kind to me, and to be kind in return, and not to worry about all the noise out there. So that's kind of been something that's been
wrong this whole time. I haven't been friendly to anyone. I should change that.
Yeah, we're from New York, so we don't know anything about any of that stuff. We don't know shit about that.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Listen, it's a point of pride with us, so But,
Yes.
listen, they'll tell you, New Yorkers are kind. We're not nice, though. I will pick you. We will pick you up. If you fall down, we will pick you up. We will dust you off. We will give you a bottle of water. And says, but we will walk away and say, don't talk to me.
Yeah. They go on your way, please.
Yes. Is you okay? Okay, good. Go about your business.
I don't know what you're talking about. If you fall in front of me, it's like, go fall on your own time. You're holding me up. Get out of my way. Just roll over.
You're in my way.
Roll over. You're in my way.
Well, I can see how you've been treated in the past. Anyway, Mr. Fish. So what are your thoughts?
My first thing was a question. You were talking about how it felt like there was a drop off with your third book. Was that the third one in the series, or was it a different book? Just curiosity.
On who?
For Philip.
Oh, Philip.
It's just out of, sorry, I should have explained that. Wild North Comics is a group of us so we started with my comic first. We did an anthology actually, and I kind of collected the parts of my anthology into one graphic, and then the next artist did their one, and then the third artist, which sort of helped us realize it was different concepts. The third one was a superhero book, and that didn't go well. Whereas mine was like a cyberpunk post-apocalyptic thing, and all ages, like, kids can get involved. The second one was like a bit more artistic, post-apocalyptic, and the third one was superheroes. So I think concept is big. I think art is obviously huge, but also the team. One thing that we did with my book, Future Tales, we had different artists from all around the world. So there's 8 chapters, and everyone is done by a different artist. It all tells one big story, but like sort of an anthology that's just connected. And that also helped us kind of reach, because then the artists then help promote and market it as well. So yeah, we're learning a lot there. But yeah, the third book, it's not my third book. It's just the book in the collective that we do.
My second question was, like, doing 10 grand on your first book is really successful. Like, do you think that success was attributed to like somebody's social media presence, or just the boots on the ground getting the word out ahead of time? What would you say was the contributing factor to that?
Well, we made a lot of mistakes. Like, I didn't really realize what I was doing, but I did have a guy, Sean Paulette, who's done a bunch of Kickstarters over here in Australia. So from that, I actually, learned a lot, and he helped guide us. So from that helped, but also I think it really was the IP, as in it's a public domain IP thing that we've got. Which is, so fairy tales, but like retold. So that helps get the name out, but also just the artwork and stuff. So there was not one thing, except for, I would say, the project itself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. As far as marketing, that seems to be a mystery to me, because it changes so wildly depending on different people's styles, what different people are good at. Like, what JD might do that gets word out for his book may not work as well for me. Different people's personalities work differently for different things. Like, I know people that write some of the most amazing books that are some of my favorite things to read, but are just surprisingly socially awkward guys that cannot sell a book to save their life at a con. They just, and it blows my mind, because they make some of the coolest books, but they just, unless they bring a friend who's good at sales, they don't sell anything. And some of us are like that. I know people who make awesome books and just hate going to cons because they hate the anxiety of having people around, and they don't want to talk to people. Where it gives me anxiety, but I also kind of enjoy the game of it, and the whole carnival barker aspect. Like, hey, you look like you like indie comics. You want to check mine out? I got some of the most indie comics in the world. Like, I like luring them in and cracking jokes and getting their attention, and and then moving into the sales. But like, I do really well in person with sales, but I have struggled trying to spread that out into social media. I can get people on social media that enjoy watching me tell stories or be stupid or draw, which is a bonus I have as the artist. I can do drawing videos and stuff, but that doesn't seem to want to convert over. Other people seem to be really good at it. I think it might be one of the things I'm just not that good at. My answer has been to start bringing in people that like have marketing experience and stuff, and bring them in to help give me advice and help show me, like, okay, where am I making mistakes? And just rely on those people that know more about these things than I do. And, because from my side, it seems like everything that I'm doing is all leading in the same direction. And when I brought in a friend of mine who has a lot of like professional big business marketing experience, he's like, dude, you're going in like 10 different directions, and that's fracturing your fan base into 10 different directions. And you need to be bringing them all in to one highway, that's all leading to the same place. And I'm like, but they're all leading to awesome, but they're all leading in different directions to get to awesome. And that's not helping you get to where you need to go.
Smart way to play it. Yeah.
That's my advice. Listen to people that know more than me.
There you go. All right. Jay, what are your thoughts?
All right. I want to start off by getting everybody to look at the panel for a second. Okay. You got Deece and you got Philip, who are new to crowdfunding, right? We heard 1 and we heard 3. All right. Then you got Fish, myself, Calderon. Fish has done 99 books. I've done 28. I'm about to launch my 28th. Calderon, I don't know where. Nandor, you're right there in the middle, right? Okay.
Right.
The more seasoned guys, a ton of gray hair. The less experienced guys, no gray hair.
I'm only 26.
Bro, you're cheating. You're cheating, kid. You got to grow something out so we can tell where you're at in this whole game. You know what I'm saying? That's messed up. That's wrong. I'm offended. I'm offended, kid.
Oh no. Can't win them all. Can't win them all.
I want to bring up something that Philip brought up. You know, they're on Amazon. Okay. By 2025, Amazon and Walmart combined are going to be capturing 25% of the American spending dollar. They're on that pace right now. So my concern is kind of centered around that. It's like, are we in the most accessible place? Are we somewhere where people can easily find us? Right? We spoke about marketing, and from the looks of it, not many of us have that good a hold on marketing, right? None of us have marketing degrees. None of us have, that background of multiple years in marketing, corporate marketing. We learn by doing, right? We learn from what we hear from others, and we try to apply that.
Yeah.
If we were in the most accessible place, that would kind of help. I'm not saying turn the tide, right? But help to keep it easier to keep the lights on, right? That's what we need right now. I mean, we're a niche within a niche within a niche, right? We're still complaining about the Wortham trials from almost 80 years ago, holding us back. There's been 80 years of progress since then. Why are we still in the same place? Why are we still not as recognized an art form as they recognize it in Japan, as they recognize it in France, right? In other countries. But then the rest of the world kicks in, and it's like, is everyone just inundated with so much on a day-to-day basis that we are, we're pissing into the wind to try to get people to look at us. So that's my concern is can we do something to be found in the more accessible areas? How do we go about doing that? I don't know. I don't know.
There's one superpower that I think comics have more than anything else. Because they're relatively cheap to make, it's all about our imagination and our concepts and what we're pushing. Like, I mean, I'm in the film and TV industry. I write stuff, they pay me well, and it never gets made. Or I'm working on stuff and I might, write an episode or two and then it'll get canceled next season. So it's really hard to get to your audience in the film and TV world. In this world, we can make these books relatively cheaply and get to our audience. The problem is how wide our audience is. And I think it's about, yes, there's too much stuff out there, as in Netflix, and like people are reading other stuff. But if we are, going to our strengths, which is our art and the concepts that we're pushing, then we start to get a little bit more attention. I think there's the superpower.
Okay. I want us all to take a bit and use that superpower. I wish we could, because I mean, I don't want to say
Philip,
we're struggling. Some of us are doing well. And some of us are excited to just get the books out there. Right.
Yeah.
Just to be in the game, just to be seen. For some people, it's a hell of a feat, and that's awesome, right? But then for those that are a bit more seasoned, right, how do we find that crack and expand upon it and get more people to notice that crack? Right.
I think about the Amazon thing a lot because that's the first place people usually go to look for something, especially like a book. I've had a lot of people tell me, like, I've looked for Green Zone on Amazon and I can't find it because it's not there. Nobody, their first thought isn't to go to MrFishComics.com and pick up a copy. It's to go to Amazon. And so I definitely think there's something to be.
Even if we were bro, even if we were to get put into that algorithm as a comic book,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Because let's say they're buying that Spider-Man Fisher Price toy, right? The one with the big bobblehead, the 5 points of articulation, all right? Because they're buying it for the kid's birthday or whatever. But then you scroll down and you look at customers also bought or related items. You're not going to see a comic book in there. You'll find
Mhm.
bed sheets, right? You'll find T-shirts. You'll find other Spider-Man toys. You'll find other toys. But to find you'll find Spider-Man movies, right? Get it now on Amazon Prime.
And
But you won't
that's
find
my
it
other
there.
concern. I worked on a book that's on Amazon right now, and
Mm.
you can't find it even by searching the name. It doesn't show up in the search engine, like when
Oh,
you search the title of the book. So that's an issue. Like you have to
Right.
have a link to get to it to find it.
I would ask, like, why would your customer go to Amazon instead of going to MrFish.com? That's the bigger
Right,
that's the bigger
exactly.
question, because the
Yeah.
question is that's kind of on us as creators
Mhm.
to get our audience to come to us, to keep them engaged regularly. And that's kind of like, again, content, whether it's just random posts, updates on what you're doing, mailing lists, things like that, to keep them, so then they know if, like, oh, I want something from this guy, I'm going to go to his website. I mean, I would think Amazon and Walmart are monsters, but I don't want the people who are shopping there aren't looking for what we do. We want to take
Right.
our product and find them, because those people, that again, that the amount of people who are looking for what we do is very small, and like I said, shrinking every day. I think. I mean, it's people like 30 to 50 are like indie comic buyers. Everyone younger than that is reading anime. They don't give a shit about comic
Right.
books, especially indie stuff. So, like, you have to find a way to get to those people and keep them captured and keep them engaged, and knowing that, like, hey, I go to Mr. Fish's website to buy his comic books. I don't have to go anywhere else.
I like that. I like that question, right? But can I roll it back just a touch?
Yeah.
Right? We're fractured, right? There's Mr. Fish, there's Unstoppable Comics, there's the Oswald Chronicles, but there's no central location to find all of that. So when you have that one new person coming in, right, they can't go into the Amazon toolbar and say, hey, Indie Comics. There's no section where there's Amazon, Walmart, or anywhere else to find it. I mean, Kickstarter there is, and I think that's why it's become the 800-pound giant in the realm of the other crowdfunding places, and it keeps feeding into itself. Right, it has that forward momentum, which is awesome, but that's only one location, right? And Mr. Fish is not always going. Right, Oswald Chronicles is not always going. The Kickstarter does have the accessibility where you can attach your website to a past campaign, which is awesome. But it still won't come up in the live feed, in the live search, right? So I like your question. I'm not knocking it, Deece, right? But we don't have that sense. There's no Angie's List for independent comics.
Right. And I don't mean for independent comics as a whole, because that's too sprawling and impossible to reel in, because everyone's independent. What it is getting your customers to you, and that means, like, capturing them, meaning the people who bought from you. I mean, if I don't know, you said you've done 20 this year, doing your 29th book,
28th,
20. So, like, it's like, so at that point, you've sold a lot of books to a lot of different people. Presumably, a lot of people have come back, and then presumably you've got new ones. I don't know what the ratio is. I would assume probably, I don't know, probably in the 50-50 margin somewhere.
I wish, bro.
So
I wish.
So maybe it's, so what is it? More new than in each book?
No, it's less new in each
less
book.
new, more returns. Okay, but as you go, more of those people you're getting more returns. So in as someone who did do marketing for a long time, and I will say that it's so much easier to keep a client than to get a new one.
I agree with that. Yes, sir.
So at that point, it's like, yeah, you always want to be getting new people, and that's doing conventions, that's advertising, that's Kickstarter. But if you're retaining more and more each time you're doing a Kickstarter, like, it seems like a slow build, but man, that's a fucking win. like that's a huge win.
It is.
So
It is. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, and is just keeping those people coming back. And then because you like anyone that buys your Kickstarter, you should find a way to convert those people to follow your Instagram, follow your Facebook page, and then hopefully they're getting updates on you, what you're doing, any other project Kickstarter's launching, and like you want that to be your customer for life now, ideally, in anything you do.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So look, I got a little bit of a different take. It's not that much different. It's my biggest concern in comics in general is the fact that, like Deece pointed out, is that we're bleeding off fans, right? Either through attrition of life or whatever, but we're bleeding off people, and we're not creating new ones, right? So so the question is what are we doing to combat that? Now, I'll be honest with you. This is something I've been thinking about, and I've yet to implement it, but I have books, and I'm going to start implementing it soon. I'm in New York, so we have these little lending library things that we have throughout the city.
Yeah.
And they're literally little boxes that people put books in. I have books, I have these extra books that I printed up in in large quantity. I take a couple copies and start popping them in these. I know of at least 5 of them in my area. So I'm going to just start popping them in there. You understand? Because the thing is the only way you have to introduce people to this stuff. And I know a lot of kids go into those, so you have to introduce those kids to reading comics. And the thing is it's true. A lot of them do read manga. But the thing is that one of the killers of Marvel and DC when it comes down to the manga kids is that manga tends to have a beginning, middle, and end. Those stories. Whereas you say, oh, I just saw Spider-Man, where should I start? And they're like, well, you can start
back in the 60s and then just work your way up.
You could start the Clone Saga, you could do Kraven's Last Stand, you could do this one, you could do this one. It's going to start for you all over the place, right? Whereas I know with the Oswald Chronicles, I can say, well, you can start here. You can start right here at the beginning, right? And I think most of us can say that for our stories, right? And, what are we combating against? Are we really combating against that they just want to read stuff from Japan? Or are we combating something of, Daphne always points this out. She says, are we combating a thing of size? Right? Like they like, the doujinshi.
Oh, the digest size. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's a doujinshi, which is just that's just what they call it. That's what they refer to as manga. But are they talking about the digest size books, 6x9, 8.5 by 5.5, so on and so forth? Are we combating that? Maybe they just like smaller, tighter books, right?
I think we're combating a culture thing too, though, to be honest, because it's like that Japanese culture is trendy right now with manga and like anime. It's trendy, so kids are dumb and kids follow trends. And also comic books are seem antiquated and silly because although it's a medium, not a genre, most people just think of superheroes, and I don't know what kind of comic books you guys do, but I assume it's probably not all superhero stuff. And probably not at all. Exactly. And that people are just, you say comic book and they're like, oh, I don't know, I don't want to read that because they don't
like superheroes. Yeah, there's no superheroes in this.
Right, exactly. You can tell. I mean, look at
what?
Like Strangers in Paradise or something like that. Like a story about it's like the farthest thing from. It's like a soap opera, and you can do that. You can do Why the Last Man. You can do Superman. You can do a horror comic. You can do anything. But I think it's combating that genre and then combating the cultural phenomenon that kids are obsessive with too.
I mean, I think that has more to do with the Japanese being very good at marketing. Because the thing is that, being one of the gray hairs, I've been around for a while and I've been buying and watching anime since the 70s, if not earlier. I've been buying manga since the 80s, right? So, I mean, it's been around for a long time. So it's not because you got to remember when it first started out, I think it was Epic, not Epic, not Pacific. damn, it's one of the other. It wasn't First Comics. It was the other one. But anyway, they started with like Maya the Psychic Girl, and they started out with like 4 or 5 different books, Dagger Kamui, and they were regular comic size, and they were flipping them, and they were doing the whole thing. And it took a long time for the manga companies to get to where they're at today. It took them at least 20 years, right? But once the 2000s hit, that's pretty much when it took off. So I just think, they have a machine. Unfortunately, they do have a machine. Like Marvel and DC has a machine. They have a machine. They figured out, they knew they weren't going to be able to compete in the direct market. And they said, well, we're going to go for the bigger market. They went in, they got it. Right?
Yeah, but a big factor in their machine is the whole mentor-student situation, right? Where a lot of the students are working in the studio, helping to pump out content to build those catalogs. We can't compete with putting out that much. No way, dude.
Wait a second. I'm sorry. Who's pumping out what?
You got the mentor-student scenario, right? That dynamic.
They don't use students.
I used the wrong word. Excuse me.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying they don't. They have apprentices.
Yeah, there we go. That's what I meant. Yes.
And they have literally other artists, mangaka, that they hire to help them.
And those apprentices build up. They build up their name and reputation by working in those studios and then spin off, right? So that's part of the machine that helps them expand or break off into new product. And that's great. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying that's a factor that a lot of people are also forgetting as well, bro.
Well, here I think that brings up a good point that, I mean, tangentially speaking, that a lot of independent creators don't do and are really that, because we're all part of these Facebook pages of independent creators, and I'm part of 100 of them, and without a doubt, I see countless posts made per day with 0 likes, 0 comments. Yeah. And when it comes to art, and this isn't just comic books, because I see the same in comedy, and I used to do music. I see the same in music. Artists are shit at supporting other artists. Yeah. They're fucking horrible at it, and that's a travesty in my opinion, because we are in such a small niche that we could be supporting each other, and we all have an audience that probably doesn't cross over almost at all, if at all. We have such small audiences that consume our content. Like I doubt anything Nandor is producing has one person that reads that. Not that they wouldn't like it, they just don't know of it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So independent artists, we are in a medium together, but separate. It's a weird thing. But we have the opportunity to crossover, and I don't mean crossover actual books, but crossover, like invite people to look at other stuff. Be like, hey, promote other people's products to your audience. You like indie comics? Here's other indie comics. If you're,
it takes a split second to share somebody else's book and be like, hey, Nandor makes awesome books. He makes some of the most beautiful stuff I've seen. It's
just
gorgeous.
a like and a comment on Facebook, or I've found other comic book creators already that I like their stuff, and I'll be like, here, send me some of your books. I'll send you some of mine, sell them at conventions. And like, just even that is like another opportunity. Like, hey, you're at conventions I'll never be at. We make a tacit agreement, gentleman's agreement to sell each other's books and promote each other's stuff. Granted, it won't be to the degree I promote my own, but I think that's understood. But if everyone really started promoting it like it was, like Jay mentioned, we're in this thing, but not, there's no Angie's List. Well, we should be our own Angie's List, and we have the opportunity to, but artists are really, really bad because they have a scarcity mindset, because you've been doing this for so long with little to no return, and you think if someone else sells a book, well, that's a book you didn't sell. But it's cliche for a reason, but rising tides lift all ships, in my opinion. So.
This is true. Now, but here's one thing though. On this show though, we do share out people's campaigns.
Yes.
All right.
Besides JD, everyone else sucks. But
Great segue.
But I'm trying. I'm trying. That's all I can do. Mr. Fish, please talk to us. What do we got here?
This is Fishtails Volume 2. It is the second installment of my anthology series where I get to tell all the extra cool little stories that I get ideas for that don't fit in my regular books. The campaign is funded, but the late pledges are still open, so you can still back and get copies. And I wanted to leave it open for a while until I get the money in from Kickstarter and I'm placing the big order, and then I'm shutting it down. But so for a little while, it's still open, and it has a little bit of my Alice Lost in Wonderland story, where Alice is a wandering bounty hunter in an interdimensional rift between worlds called Wonderland. It has a short story that takes place in the world of Green Zone, Life in the Blocks, and it's following a team of agents that fill in when like one of the big superheroes is off planet. So you call in the B team when one of his bad guys takes over a bank and is demanding to see the hero before they start killing people. So you send these guys in to impersonate and try and defuse the situation. And
I
it
love
has a
that
story.
cover. I love that cover. That's really cool.
One of the things I did in this issue, because
That is
one of
really
my
cool.
fans hit me up and was like, "You need a narrator for the anthology, like the old school ones, like Tales from the Crypt and
Yeah.
stuff." And we
Yeah.
were joking about back and forth about it being Fishtails. And I had this character from Green Zone, which is about mutant cops trying to earn their citizenship in a world where it's illegal to be born with superpowers. And the guy that works in the equipment room and hands out your gear at the beginning of the day is Eddie, just a little side character who happens to be a fish man looking dude. And I joked about sticking him in the book, and then the more I thought about it, the funnier it got, because he's just this stick in the mud dude, and he gets put in all these weird situations now, having to explain these stories that don't make any sense to him, and it's just I had so much fun with it.
That's awesome.
Looks really good, Fish.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. It's been a lot of fun. It's gotten some good attention from some folks, and I'm excited to get it out there. It's also the B Team story was co-written and illustrated by my son Bear Lee, so this is one of his first printed, fully illustrated things. He did like half
Nice.
the coloring in my Alice first issue, and I swear you can't
Talk
tell the
about
difference between the
having
pages that
having an
I did and he
apprentice,
did.
you
I'm
know?
telling you, man. I just handed off a job that I was expecting to like pay next month's bills with. I handed it to him because
Yeah.
like I didn't want to get behind on the job I'm on right now, and I didn't want the next client waiting. So I talked with the client and showed him some of Bear's stuff, and he's like, "Oh yeah, he can absolutely color that." So
Nice.
I got to commission him out a job, and it's been really cool getting to work with him. Like the Alice story is one I've been working on for 30 years. So he grew up hearing this story, and now he got to help color it and stuff. It's been a really
Wow.
cool experience. And him getting to do a story for Green Zone is awesome, because Green Zone is basically taken out of the RPG game I've been running for 30 years, which he also grew up playing. Like he learned his numbers on the dice, he learned how to read on his character sheet, and so he got to play in that sandbox, and like he knew that world so well. He killed it. The story
Yeah.
came out
Nice.
so cool. That's his art right there.
Which
Very
one?
cool.
This
The one
one
with the
here,
foot?
yeah, with the which actually does have a superhero, and it's the only story I've done so far of my own that has a superhero in it.
Love
But
superheroes.
and that's from The Mighty Call, which was written by my buddy T.S. Luther from Tokyo Fire and Hellion and Bash. It's out right now, and he wrote a story for the world of The Mighty Call, my other book, and this is the world that he's just crash landed on years ago. Before he got there, it's showing more of the world. It's showing more of the warrior Kess that he comes in contact with in issues 3 and 4. And it shows how she became a warrior, going through this crucible trial from all the tribes send their young wannabe warriors together, and they have to fight to prove that they're worthy of, being warriors and stuff. And then it's an awesome story. It's funny, it's cool, it's action packed. He did such cool stuff with the lore. I just loved working with him. And then of course there's a little more of Alice Lost in Wonderland in this issue.
Very nice.
Cool. Nice. You said you're gonna get these soon.
Yeah. As soon as Kickstarter releases the funds, I'm placing the order, and these are going to be in and out really quickly. And the books from my last campaign for the whole first issue of Alice are almost here as well. So that will be shipping out soon. So I'm going to be busy over the next couple of weeks.
All right, cool. Well, look, you're already funded, so you're good.
Oh, yeah.
So you make a few more bucks. Order those extra books. Very nice. All right, cool. Don't mind me. I still need a producer.
Our producer's nice, man.
Oh yeah. All right, Philip.
Nice.
Future Tales. What do we got here? Let me see.
Yeah, so Future Tales is it's a reimagining of classic fairy tales set in a cyberpunk post-apocalyptic world. But the thing, as a writer at least, that I love about it is that each chapter is a fairy tale. Like Red, you can see Little Red Riding Hood. Well, she's not so little there. She's like delivering a message from one underground city to the next. Has a run-in with the Wolf Soldiers, which is the World Order Liberation Force. They live in this like floating city above, and which connects with the Jack and the Beanstalk story. So the thing is, every chapter is a fairy tale, but they all inform and build on each other, and the characters show up in each other's stories. And then the final chapter is all team together, Avengers style, to fight the big bad wolf. And there's some meta story stuff in there. It's just one of those things. Like 15 years ago when I was at school, I was like, I love. This is something I wanted to do, and it's just been in the back of my head, and was able to get it out. If you want to see some more images, actually, I should have sent you the Wild North Comics website, which I'll just chuck in the chat right now. But it's one of those ones where we got to use a lot of different artists. I got to work with a lot of different artists around the world, and they all have their own take on their story, and they got to bring their own culture to the stories. For example, we had an artist who was a Nigerian artist who worked on chapter 2, which is the Sleeping Beauty story. And he's like, and I said, hey, make her Nigerian. Like, let's kind of work with that. And same with our Moroccan artists, Filipino, French, Brazilian. They got to bring their own vibe into the story, because the whole thing about fairy tales is they're universal. Yeah, they might have been all set in Europe, but where they're known all around the world. We also, this is the funny thing, as a kid, I remember thinking these fairy tales, like, Brothers Grimm and stuff, that they were all in some sort of shared universe. The woods that Hansel and Gretel get lost in, and Little Red Riding Hood were in. Like, in my mind, the big bad wolf in Little Red Riding Hood and the Three Little Pigs was the same big bad wolf. So I was able to do that in a world which I really love. Like, and look at that art. Raymond Augustin from the Philippines did this. I do some of my own art.
Beautiful. It's so good.
Art,
yeah,
my art didn't even make the book because of how good all this other art is. So I'll get mine in there. But yeah, and it's different quality for each one. Like, if it's a children focused one, like the Hansel and Gretel story, it's from their perspective. It's a bit more Disney-esque. It's like not Disney, but it's a bit more cartoony. And then we have like the European one, which is a lot more European classic art style. So they're not too dissimilar. Like, there's this anime vibe in this one, but it's a really interesting book, and I've really enjoyed getting out there and talking about it.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, that's really nice. And it's on Amazon. It's 32% off. So
I love that idea, and I'm a little jealous that I didn't come up with it.
Well, you're talking about your Alice in Wonderland as a bounty hunter. I was like, oh, that's exactly the kind of thing that I love. So I'm jumping on your one. I was just opening everyone's Kickstarters then. Kill Stan, Manchild, Oswald Chronicle, all of them, and be like, okay, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, as DC was saying, and we got to back each other. So
this is why I stay broke. I keep going on cool shows with cool people making cool books. And then I got to explain to my wife while I'm broke.
You too?
It's crazy.
Just remember, you can write it off your taxes at the end of the year. That's all.
Up to a certain amount.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, man. This is awesome.
If people want to check out the website as well, wildnorthcomics.com/Future Tales. We've got some other books on there, but I would say Future Tales is our first book, and we've got a bunch of art in there. In fact, there's even like a free 20-page thing if people need to jump on that. But if you want to buy it, the reason why we went into Amazon is mainly for the US, Canada, Mexico. The postage was just killing us. So now we've got a bunch of books sitting over there in Amazon, and something that's not shown on there is we have that beautiful gold leaf title.
Nice. I like that.
That worked out pretty nice. So people can jump on, and I think it's free delivery too. Amazon, is that normal?
If you got Prime,
Yeah, if you got Prime, yeah.
Okay.
If you're paying them every month, you get free delivery. But it's free, babe. Yeah.
Yeah.
The boondoggle.
You know what? I'm jealous. Fish, you got the perfect head, bro. I'm jealous. I want to take it off, and I'm scared to see what it looks like under the dome, bro. It's just like symmetrically perfect, bro. Fucking jealous.
Yeah. Oh, I was worried because at one point as a kid, like I really loved the TV show Hunter as a kid, and I didn't realize he had male pattern baldness. I just thought he had a cool haircut. So I decided one time to shave like right here so I could like make my hair come to a point like him. Yeah. And I thought it looked awesome. My mom freaked out. And then I found out we have school pictures the next day. So my picture in the yearbook looks like I have this big bulging knots on the sides of my head.
That is all. I got to see that, kid.
I was terrified of shaving my head after that because I thought I had these big giant knots. And then one day I saw on TV that you could, cut your long hair off and make wigs for kids with cancer. So of course I went home and shaved my head. Turns out it looked pretty good. And after I scrubbed my head one time in the shower and I didn't have to fix my hair, yeah, it was over. I never could grow it back after that. I've kept it shaved ever since. And
nice.
Permanent.
Nice.
Yeah.
Worked in your favor, bro. Worked in your favor. Yeah.
Right. Very cool. Very cool. Hold on. Let me pull this up. We got Kill Stand. Deece, do you want me to play this video?
Sure, if you want.
All right, very nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, so walk us through this.
Yeah, so this is Kill Stand number 1 of 10. We've got the whole series written. My artist is working on number 2 as we speak. Luckily, we did fund. We fully funded in 5 days. We're trying to hit at least 5,000 for the end of this to help. I mean, first book was $4,000 out of pocket before I even go on the Kickstarter. So just trying to get that, get a bigger print run, and then just roll that all into issue number 2.
Next issue, yeah,
fully paid for. And that was kind of my goal, is to not be trying to fund the current book, is to basically just roll everything to the next one, so we can kind of be ahead. It's the pitch for the book is suicide by vigilantism. Basically, he's a guy with nothing to live for, and the lengths we go to when we've lost all and have nothing else we care about.
Well, that's deep. I dig that.
So,
And that's an original idea. That's one of the things that I'm looking for in an indie comic to support is a new idea. I don't want, this is my Batman and this is my version of that one episode of the Justice League, except the Joker wins. Like I don't care. I don't care if this is your Batman. If you do something original, something new, like Death by Vigilante, I need to know what happens. So
Yeah, well, thank you. That's actually I've heard that a couple times now, and it's flattering because in a medium where there's been a bazillion things printed. Yeah, the term like suicide by cop was being thrown around a lot when I started writing this. So the term like suicide by vigilantism struck me, and I'm like, oh, that's an interesting concept. So I just started pursuing down that road, and yeah, I came up with this. It's a guy who wants to die, assumes he'll be killed in first night out. He ends up lasting a little longer than he thought he would, and is soon kind of torn between selfishly wanting to die in a neighborhood that can't survive without him. So he in his head it's all there's no altruism, but the neighborhood starts to revere him and needs him. And there's that internal conflict of even making him feel more like shit, considering and what that it's really about loss and trauma. And I mean, vigilantism is the vehicle, but the story is about loss and trauma and what we all go through when we feel like we have nothing left.
Yeah. Cool. What's the logic behind his outfit or his mask? Like what is that?
It's actually, so it's kind of around Halloween season, and it's just a Halloween mask he found.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's an original design. It's a mask I designed. But yeah, it's just in the story, just a Halloween mask he found that he decided to wear.
Cool.
So what got you thinking down these lines? I mean, like, I know, you said you were hearing that stuff about, death by cop, but I mean, what else, like, because obviously you had to be thinking about this for a minute. So, I mean, what was getting you to think like this?
Well, I mean, I think my natural inclination, I mean, I've written a couple books, and I've written a bunch of stuff over the years. And it's all kind of that darker noir, dark humor, cynicism, big fan of like Kurt Vonnegut, Chuck Palahniuk, that kind of very cynical view of life. So that I bring a lot of that to my writing. And honestly, so right before COVID, my best friend, another comic who was my opener for years, actually killed himself. And then, COVID hit, and it was kind of a crazy time for everyone. And then, the suicide by cop thing started getting thrown around. So I had the suicide by vigilantism. And I just realized as I was writing this that how much I think COVID really fucked people up, and like I think it was really traumatic for a lot of people and didn't even realize it, like I mean, there were a lot of bad people were dealing with before that, but I think there were a lot of things that really drastically altered forever in that time frame that made people feel like they had nothing left, in this desperation. And you saw that manifest in a lot of crazy ways during that time, and I think some of that is continued on in odd ways in our society, the way people react and interact with each other. Obviously, this is pushed to kind of the nth degree for storytelling purposes. But yeah, really, I as I've been selling this to people, I keep trying to really impress upon them like this. He is a vigilante, but that really is not the story at all. It's a character piece about a guy who is at his lowest, and we've all felt that. Whether we have different levels of why we felt that, but I always say like the worst thing that's ever happened to you is still the worst thing that's ever happened to you, right? Like you don't know any different. It's the worst thing that's happened to you. Comparatively to other people, you don't know, but for you, it's still very impactful. So the idea is that you don't always have to have You don't always have to be an 8-year-old that just left the movie theater seeing Casablanca with your parents, and some guy shoots your parents in Crime Alley, and you dress up like a bat now. Like, that's not. It doesn't have to be that traumatic.
Mhm.
It can just be the daily micro trauma of life weighing down on you that might be enough for you to just want to be done.
All right.
It was Zorro, Deece. It was Zorro, not Casablanca. No.
Sorry, you're right. It was Zorro. You're right.
Fine. You're fine.
Thank you.
You're good.
Yeah.
You're good.
It looks awesome, man. I mean,
Thank you.
And it said you only had 65 hours left, so go buy that damn book. It's not much
Oh,
time
I'm
left.
glad I backed it now. I would have forgot to go back.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, please. It's where there's some cool rewards on there. It's going to get rewards to get fulfilled pretty quickly. And yeah, the people that read it had I've already got some I ordered some ahead of time. We've been doing some conventions and some promo stuff. So the people that have gotten to read it have been pretty thrilled with this so far. So I'm excited to get into some other people's hands.
Nice.
All right, cool. We got some other superheroics. Nandor, do you want me to play this video?
Hey. No, I can pitch it. The video just kind of goes over the pitch and stuff, but I'd be happy to just do it here with you guys. So, yeah, Man-Child is one part like Silver Age inspired superhero story and one part commentary on comic book fandom. And yeah, we have a cover by Winter Soldier co-creator Steve Epting for this for issue 3, Man-Child. So very, very excited to have him. It's a killer cover. He's an amazing artist. Steve Epting, I mean, he worked with Ed Brubaker on Captain America, Jonathan Hickman on Fantastic Four, and like Garth Ennis on Sarah with TKO Presents. My favorite comic book artist of all time. But so that's a cover you can get during this campaign. We also have a wraparound cover and a couple other covers. But getting back to the pitch, it's one part Silver Age inspired superhero story where you follow the Monarch Crier, and it's told in a Silver Age, Stan Lee, Marvel Age type style. And then while you're reading about this character, you're also reading about Rufus Boston, who is this super nerd in the real world. And the story itself is a commentary on comic book fandom and kind of on escapism and how the contrast between fantasy and reality and how they inform one another. And in this issue, we're introducing all new 6 villains called the Sadistic Six. And they're going to be fighting the Monarch Crier on this island that he's imprisoned, that his arch nemesis has imprisoned him on. So we're expanding the Rogues Gallery with this issue, and we're delving a little bit more deeper into Rufus's life. And he's this issue is called The Wednesday Warrior, and he's working at a comic book shop. He's volunteering, helping out a friend, and tragedy strikes him at the shop in this issue. So it's going to be a very emotional story. It's one of my favorite issues in the entire series. And I'm very excited to bring this one to life. Like I said, we have all new 6 villains, and if you love kind of those Silver Age, classic comic style, you'll really enjoy Man-Child. But if you're also looking for something that's a little bit more, I'd say deeper and a little bit more like reflective and introspective when it comes to what it means to be a comic book fan, what it means to be a fan of superheroes, but also just kind of the joys and pitfalls and the frustrations of being someone so obsessed with something, kind of about obsession. This book is for you. So it's a love letter, but also a mirror is kind of how I like to put it.
Cool. Very nice.
I just love your stuff, man.
How many issues is the series going to be?
It's going to be 6 issues. And they've all been scripted. There's an ending, and it's a really good ending, I think. And so we're working our way through it. We're halfway done with issue 3. We'll be halfway there, and hopefully we can keep on making it. I'm really excited about this issue because we have some amazing talent on board for the covers. We also have our first ever wraparound cover by Ben Morse, and or gatefold cover, I should say. So that's pretty cool, and you can get all the previous issues. So you can get issues 1 and 2 in the different variant covers. I've worked with Jim Rugg from Cartoonist Kayfabe. I've worked with Tony Harris and a few other amazing Marvel and DC artists throughout this series so far. So you can also get my other books. You can get The Fabled Offering and Lifeline as well.
Very nice. I don't even want to ask you what that cover cost you.
Yeah.
It's I just want to say Steve Epting is an amazing person, and he should have charged me a lot more.
Okay. I mean, I know whatever it wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
Even if he cut you a little off, let you slide a little bit on the price, it still wasn't cheap no matter what it was. So yeah, I know.
Right.
So, yeah, I got you. But I mean, incredible looking book. I mean, you do great work. I mean,
thank you.
Stuff looks fantastic, man. I mean,
oh, that's the thing that really impressed me when I met Nandor was just the quality of the work in his books is just, it's top notch. And frankly, there's a whole lot of indie comics out there that are phoning it in or taking the it's good enough approach. And his stuff is second to none in the way it looks, and the stories are great. I'm a huge fan.
Oh, thank you, Fish. That means a lot.
So you're about 60% there, right?
Yeah, I think like 66 or 67%. So we're almost there. Almost there.
Yeah. Another 16 days. I don't think you're gonna have a problem getting to where you need to go. So you'll definitely fund. Yeah, man, looks great. I mean, love the cover.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, awesome looking book. Listen, man, you always put out top notch stuff. So, all right, now listen, man, we got this guy doing this thing, and he's doing the thing. There you go.
Oh, this guy's doing a thing. This guy right here.
This
guy is taking all of these years of experience and blowing it all with trying to run an action figure campaign. And holy shit, is all I can say. I am going to be launching Shield of the Interceptor, a 1/18 scale action figure based on my book, Shield of the Interceptor, a superhero title. That is the flagship character of the flagship book, actually, of Unstoppable Comics. So it's going to be 1/18 scale action figure that's approximately 4 inches or 3 3/4 inches. So if anybody bought the old G.I. Joes or Star Wars figures that came out in the old 80s, that's something along those lines. One of the reasons I'm doing that is because of space. A lot of people who are in the toy collecting arena are running out of a ton of space because most of the things that are coming out are of the 6-inch variety, and maybe this guy could get shoehorned into one of those spots that are left in between the 6-inch figures. Another reason why I'm doing it is space, because when we go to conventions and I'm loading up the trunk, I need space, right? And I'm sacrificing a higher price point, but I'm going to be bringing more units with me to conventions if this son of a gun gets funded. We're looking to raise $44,000 on this bad boy, a number I have never gotten close to before. But I'm going to test the theory that I have been told by so many other action figure crowdfunders, and that is a large chunk of your funding comes from the shops that are out there, which is I think ironic that toy shops jump into the funding arena, whereas comic shops don't. Again, I think it's a theory. I'll find out if this gets applied to this bad boy when we go. There are more figures in the line, so if we get the opportunity to go beyond our funding goal and hit stretch goals. There are stretch goal unlocks for the other figures that are going to be coming out. I just don't want to get to a point where, oh my God, we got to $160,000, but fall short. So then there goes everything else. So let me try to fund this one bad boy first, and at least try to figure out how to get this one done right as well. Another thing that I'm going to be doing differently on this son of a gun is he's not getting produced in China, where everything else is getting produced. I am sacrificing a bit of the price point, and he's getting produced in Colombia. I speak Spanish. A few of the collaborators that I have worked with live in Colombia, and it is about a 6.5 hour flight, 7 hour flight from New York, as opposed to an 18-hour flight to China if I need to get there. And I've spoke to the manufacturers, the company, a few times already. They've given me a hell of a lot of insurance, a hell of a lot of insight, and I feel a lot more comfortable. And maybe that comfort factor is worth, or that peace of mind I'm getting from that comfort is worth the higher price point per unit for me than would be getting done in China. So that's where we're going. We're going to be going for the big one on this, 60 days on this campaign. So it is launching on Thursday, the first day of New York Comic Con. I am going to try and run a live stream from the event. Wi-Fi service is spotty in that big old concrete building, so there's a big possibility this may not happen. But if anybody's following me on Wednesday, we're going to be testing that bad boy out. So if you're following me, we'll be running a live stream from New York Comic Con on Wednesday setup day to see if we can get this going on Thursday morning. If not, I'll just launch it before the convention, and then I'll do updates as the day goes on. I really hope I can run a live stream from the con. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm a knucklehead because the convention is hard enough as it is by itself.
Boy, I'm saying.
But to be running this at the same time, one of my biggest concerns is to be dividing my sales during the day. Right? Am I driving towards the campaign? What am I driving towards the stuff that we got at the con? Right? One of the things we're doing at the con, I'm implementing collector's boxes. So we're trying to get the bigger bundles of sales going for people to pick up complete sets. Because we go beyond trades with some of those stuff. So we have the Shield of the Interceptor collector's box that we're going to have over there at the con. We're going to have the New York versus the World zombie collector's box at the con. This is a bit beefier because this is going to have a bunch of the enamel pins that we're going to be running over there, and premium covers in this bad boy as well. This son of a gun is just going to be the 5 issues of the set and 2 different pins and a pack of trading cards. So it'll be a lot cheaper, but hopefully I can drive the sales through things like this. And then, like I said, we're going to have pins, we're going to have our books, we're going to have shirts, we're going to have original art, trading cards, shot glasses. So if you buy a shot glass, maybe you do a shot with me. I don't know. I can't sell liquor, but I can have a shot with my new friend that I met at the convention. Yeah.
Oh God!
Right? This is the big show, right? This is the big show. This cost me $1,800 for the booth, right? I'm gonna have a corner booth and small press. We've got a team of people with us because I'm not paying for lodging, because I'm not paying for transportation. I can get extra passes to build a team to help us drive those sales
Nice.
in. And this is my backyard, so I could bring the whole kitchen sink, right? We're going to be setting up also on Tuesday. This is the big show. I'm excited, and I don't want to keep rambling on. So let's just move on to the next thing.
All right, look, I'm just going to pull up my campaign real quick. This is ending in 44 minutes.
Nice.
We've already funded. We're over $2,000, so we made it past our second stretch goal, which is really cool. This is the Oswald Chronicles, my magical mouse adventure. This is a story where Oswald, and this is the other thing that's special about this one is this was originally in black and white. Now it's in full color. So that's the one thing for me is like now I'm starting to move the series into full colors. We started as black and white, and you know, Jade's work really pops in color. So
Yeah.
and the story is about it's about a young man who's growing up and who wants to fulfill his destiny. He is a noble, and he is like the fifth or sixth son in a line. So that means he inherits nothing, right? And in his father's eye, he's just just another mouth to feed. He's not going to inherit the title, but he wants to prove himself to both his father and his people. You understand? So he finds his people are being invaded by a tribe of orcs and an evil sorceress who's taken over his father's mind. So he's found this as his opportunity to prove himself to his people, to his father, to rescue his father, along with the help of his sister. And along with that, there's Oswald, who just happened to make some new friends, and he's along for the ride trying to help them out. And Oswald is he's a mouse, and he's also a burgeoning sorcerer as well. So, and he's learning the craft as he goes. And he's he's fighting the sorceress in the scene, and he's not always winning because he's just new at it. So there you go. And this is issues 1 through 6. There's 2 more issues after this. Comes out to about 240 pages, the whole story. The other 2 issues will come out soon, and there it is. Another 42 minutes. There you go. So thank you, everybody. Go check it out if you get a chance. And all right, Jay, you're up. What's your question, sir?
All right, let's go back into the marketing of today's theme. And what are you doing to retain your customers? How do you get them to keep coming back?
Deece, you're up. I'm sorry.
I can speak for other markets I've worked in. For comic books, what I'm doing is implementing a lot of that. But again, mailing lists I think is important. Keeping in contact with your customers, letting them know. I mean, just any type of content, whether it's just a video of you doing something, just some sort of post about your production or your book or the next book or the last book. I mean, anything that just touches them. Because I mean, it's like, why the hell does Coca-Cola still advertise, right? If Coca-Cola still has to advertise, I mean, the guys that are making, indie comics for a couple $1,000 a pop, probably, a total for each campaign, definitely need to keep advertising to their users. So that's kind of what I'm implementing, is just trying to get as much content out there as often as possible to the people who are following me, and give them, and not only that, but also get them the product quickly, get them a quality product, something that they're gonna enjoy, and hopefully encourage them to tell someone about it, like, share, etc. I mean, that's really the only way to find success in any industry now is build it up yourself, word of mouth, grassroots, and hopefully enough people tell other people, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, don't mind me, Deece, but I just gotta say, this right here, that's a bunch of bullshit. You ask you a question and he bails. What?
No, I didn't bail. I didn't want nobody to see my fat butt standing up while I was trying to get something, dude. I never bailed. I never bailed at all. I didn't want people to be like, "Oh, look, can you do the truffle shuffle?" You know what I mean? Come on.
See, I'm on another show. Every time one of my co-hosts gets mad, he cuts his camera off. So that's the first thing I think when somebody does that. I was like, "Oh, somebody got triggered over yonder."
Not bad, fellas. Not bad. I heard every word he said, bro.
Look, at least 3, maybe 4 times a show I gotta break his chops. So Nandor, what are your thoughts on the question?
Yeah, so I think retention is very important in anything that you work on, in any small business that you do. You want to keep your customer, and you want to find ways that you can incentivize them to return, right? And what you can do. And so with everything that I've been building with Foxhole Comics, because I kind of alternate between series, right? And I'm trying to get readers who maybe they're reading Manchild, but over to this other thing that I'm working on, or maybe people who are reading that other thing, get over to Manchild. And so I'm not just thinking about people going from one issue to the next in a particular series, but just to become a fan of me, become a fan of my writing, become a fan of my work, and how I can think of ways to, engage with my audience in a way that I can make them know that I'm still here, right? That like I'm not disappearing, I'm not going anywhere, I'm still making books. And so, Deece is onto something when it comes to the email list and when it comes to a newsletter and starting a newsletter. It's something that I wish I would have started when I started making comics, but I didn't really understand how to work a newsletter and what I wanted to talk about and what I wanted to do with it. But now I'm a lot more knowledgeable in comics. I feel like I have something to say. I feel like I have something to offer, and so finding ways that I can offer that to my audience and to remind them, that I'm not just trying to sell them a book. I'm trying to sell them a journey, or I'm trying to engage with them on a journey that I'm on, and how I can, let them know that you're not just buying a book. You're buying into a person. You're buying into a journey, and you're buying into my what I want to do with my life. Right? Like your impact is very, very important, and so reminding customers or reminding people of that, I think, is really important, and being transparent about what you're working on and what you're doing to make those changes and make that progress. So for me, I think authenticity and transparency and being able to communicate with your audience, whether it's on social media or via email or via YouTube. I started a YouTube channel, and I've been making video essays, and I've been trying to branch out a little bit, explore that a little bit more. And I think for the people who are very passionate, the people who back you, we remember those people, the people who back you every campaign, or the people who are always sharing your stuff, the people who you see notifications on social media, and you're like, man, this guy really enjoys what I'm doing. He's always sharing my things. When it comes to those people, I think sending them a message and telling them thank you, or if they're sharing your stuff, thanking them and letting them know that you see that, letting them know that you're aware of that and that you appreciate that. And I think that really helps to, because I mean, the whole point of crowdfunding is that we're directly involved with the customer, and we have that direct line to the customer. And so I think we can't take that for granted at all, and finding ways that we can emphasize that, use it, not take advantage of it, but appreciate it even more, and let them know that you're seen and that your support means something. And because I know you could put your money anywhere else. I know you could do that, and I'm very thankful that you're not doing that and that you're trusting me, and just always being open about that and thanking people. I don't think you can say thank you too many times to a customer, and I think it's really important to do that, and to send them a private message, let them know when you're sending out, when I'm fulfilling my books. Something I like to do is, if I'm signing a book, if they want it signed or whatever, I'll personalize it, and I'll personalize it for them, and I'll tell them thank you, and thank you for your support, and any ways that you can keep that direct line and maintain it. Jay goes there. He's gone again. He's leaving.
That hurt my feelings too, because I don't spell that good. I'm lucky to spell my name right. I can't spell your name right too.
No, but no, you're fine. You're good. But yeah, so for me, that's what I've tried to do, and that's what I found has been helpful. And I'm always looking at my backer numbers, and you're looking at your returning customers and the new customers. Kickstarter now has that analytics, those analytics where you can see how many returning backers you have, how many new backers you have, and I think paying attention to those are important. They're not the end all be all, but it's kind of difficult too. I'm on the third issue of a series, and I'm thinking about, you know, maybe some people bought issue one, and maybe that bought issue two, and maybe they're not coming back, right? And so you're like, okay, maybe they're not into the series. Okay, how do I get them back? How do I incentivize them to come back? What can I offer to them to take another chance on me? But also, um, you know, always being open to new audiences and how you could repackage your pitches, repackage your books so that you can get that new customer, and that you're not always, I think it's important to have that 1 to 2 sentence elevator pitch that works in all cases. But at the same time, when you're working on a series that has multiple issues and there are new developments within that series, I think it's important to repackage it in a way that maybe, other people will take note of it now, rather than just be like, oh, it's the same thing, with every issue. So finding ways to have a more direct relationship with the customer, more personalized relationship with the customer, I think is really important with retention. And then being able to be transparent with your customer as much as possible, whether that's on social media or via your newsletter.
All right, cool. Very nice. Mr. Fish, what are your thoughts?
This is another thing that I took from people that know marketing better than me and were giving me good advice. And I restructured my newsletter because I think we talked about this last time I was on. Like, I took a hard look at who actually is coming back and backing my stuff all the time. Who are those guys that back every book, and not just who do I dream that I'm reaching, but who is actually supporting my stuff. And most of them are other people that either are creating comics or hope to be creating comics one day, that are interested in indie comics. Like, that's why I love indie comics so much. So I started tailoring my newsletter to offer something that's valuable to them, because like I get 1,000 newsletters a week from different creators that I've backed and stuff and got in on mail-in lists. And 99% of them are the same spam that's filling up those Facebook groups that we're in, full of creators that nobody gets a like to, because it's just like, hey, did I tell you got a new book? I got a new book. Did you hear about my new book? And and then you get the same update from every Kickstarter you've ever backed from them each week, telling you about their new book. And I can't stand it. And I don't want to open any of it. But there's a handful of newsletters I get that I actually like put aside, that I hope to get a chance to open and read, that I'm interested in, and they all either like have something interesting to offer, or they're giving like real tips on like writing that I'm interested in their take on this, or they're giving like behind the scenes gossip and naming names from their time working at the big publishers. I don't have that to offer, but I can offer like insight into creating comics, and I offer free assets for like Clip Studio. So every newsletter gets like a new brush or something that you can use in Clip Studio that I've actually been using in a book that I was working on. And then on my Patreon, I release a video the next week that shows how I made it and how you could take it and customize it, make it whatever you want. And I'm trying to make it something that has some kind of value that makes them want to open it. And that's the best thing that I've been able to find to do, is do that. And I took a tip from here last time of sending an actual message out to people, like, messaging your former backers, through Kickstarter. And I got like an extra 10 backers or something on my last campaign doing that, because like, an update from Kickstarter, I'm not going to read because I've got too many. I got 1,000 of them every week in my inbox. But you have a message from somebody on Kickstarter, I pay attention and I stop to read that. And just a little personal note of like, hey, I know you liked the first issue. I know you backed the first issue of this. If you liked it, the second issue is live right now. I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much for backing the first issue. Short, quick, to the point. And 10 of those folks came back and signed on for the book. So that was cool.
Okay,
Nice.
I like that.
Yeah. Philip, what are your thoughts?
Oh, as Future Tales was our first book, returning backers, we haven't really crossed that bridge yet. Although backers between different books in the collective Wild North Comics, there was some crossover. But what we found is really the artists, the creators, they kind of bring their own group with them, and the people who follow them, like for myself, whether it's people who know my work in the screen industry or friends and family. And then, like I talked about before, the concept and the team itself helps grow that as well. I would say for us, that newsletter stuff that people were talking about, I think that we were sort of slow to that game, but how to get those names and those emails, we started offering free pages. I think we gave like 20 free pages on our website, and we still do. And I think that's one way to get that email. So then we can, keep them up to date. But we're not the type to be giving book after book after book, just because running Kickstarter is bloody hard. Why do you guys do it all?
Is.
We did like a graphic novel. In fact, we've done 2 graphic novels, because in that way, people can have their own story. We can still continue that. But if I felt like as a marketing thing, and maybe as a buyer myself, I can have a book. I know there's a start and an end, and I can get in, get out sort of thing. That being said, I back a lot of floppies, like 1 issues on Kickstarter too. So I guess it's a different strategy, and I just don't want to put too much time doing every few months doing another one. But you guys seem to do it well, so keep it up.
I totally want to go your direction. I just, my problem is the amount of time it takes to get there, and like I still got a mortgage that has to get paid, so the floppies gives me a quicker way of getting it out there. One thing about the email list, though, real quick, that I started doing, and I want to tell everybody that'll listen, I've started putting a tablet out at the cons, and I offer a discount if you sign up for the newsletter today, and the page is open. And like it's a couple of bucks on like 4 issues if you sign up for the newsletter today.
Mm-hmm.
Almost everybody signs up for the newsletter, and that has been great. I've loved it. Take it, use it, have fun with it.
That's a good little tip. One thing I would say with our one is because we were releasing an anthology, I think it was 3 times a year, and some of the chapters of Future Tales were in that anthology. We were working for years to build up to that graphic novel. So, yeah, it took a long time. And just on that, with the newsletter stuff, I'd be interested to find out what everyone's open rate is too, because if you're around that 20%, that's probably good. Or if you're higher, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't checked the last one. The first one was 46.
Yeah.
That's true. That click-through is extremely important. All right. I guess for myself to answer the question, what I do is I launch a campaign about every 6 weeks. And I'm in a perpetual state of like, Jesus Christ, can it be over so I can start the next one? Like I'm literally ending one, and today I was just prepping 2 more. I finished one and I'm starting to work on another one. And it's funny because I've gotten to a point that if I'm not running a Kickstarter, I don't feel like I'm doing anything. I could have written 3 books, lettered books. I could have contacted a half a dozen artists, and if I'm not running a Kickstarter, it feels like I'm standing still. And and one of the reasons for that is that I'm not doing the direct market anymore. I'm not really going to any cons anymore. So the only real thing that I'm doing to communicate with my fans is Kickstarter. Right, I've tried IGG. It's okay, but it's very hard. That's a tough nut to crack. But it can be cracked if you go back. I made a little bit of money on there, but so Kickstarter is the thing. And look, I've gotten to a point where these artists, they rely on me for money, so I have to keep.
Yes, we do.
I have to keep the wheel, the hamster wheel running. So just to keep doling out, because I have a day job. That's how I pay for my life, and then I have this, and that pays for this. And the thing is, I know Jay doesn't just we get into it once in a while. Business, hobby, business, whatever. Business like hobby, however you want to phrase it. For me, it's a very expensive hobby. I run it like a business. You understand? I make profit. I file my taxes, so on and so forth. But whatever revenue I get in goes back into the project.
Wait, you pay your taxes? Oh man, that's another thing.
Yeah, they insist.
Yeah.
They insist. Like, they
You
get a
doing
little.
that?
I mean, you don't have to.
I have to.
I mean, you can take that choice.
Exactly. I got stuff and I want to keep it.
Yeah.
So yeah. Eventually you at least got to file. Um.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you have to.
that's my thing. But the thing is, like everybody said, newsletters. I got my Substack going. Even though I didn't do one this week, I'm definitely doing one next week, and I'm doing it on Hellboy.
I've been enjoying those, JD. Just so you know, I've been enjoying your newsletters a lot. So thanks for doing that.
Thank you. I mean, I'm doing it on Hellboy the Crooked Man, both the comic and the film.
Cool.
I watched the film.
Yeah.
And then I went back and I read the comic, and it was very, very interesting. So I'll make the comparisons. Nice. So there you go. Nice. Mr. Rosario, answer your own question.
So yeah, one of the things I do to get people coming back is I give them something for free, right? And every returning backer gets a holochrome trading card. It's more than just a regular trading card, right? It's got a little bit more of a polish to it. It's coming in this nice acrylic top loader, and it's a way of me saying thank you for them returning as a backer, right? I buy in bulk. This is one of the things that Calderon and I always get into. I buy in bulk, right? I do offset printing. So that way, giving something away for free is pretty much negligible.
I don't have a problem with that with trading cards, sir.
I
do it all the time.
Okay. So the other thing is, if somebody is new to the campaign, they still have the opportunity to pick it up. They just got to pay for it, right? But once they're in, and they're locked in for the next one if they're coming back. Another thing is I worked in restaurants before, and I don't know if people are familiar with this section in a restaurant, but it's called Expo, right? Or the window. And it's the point of the restaurant where the plate is about to come out of the kitchen, but before it reaches the person who ordered it, right? And Expo is the one that puts together all of the elements, make sure it's nice and shiny, make sure it has a great presentation before it arrives to the table. And I apply that to shipping, and I ship in branded boxes.
Oh wow!
Okay, this is a clamshell box. I also do the mailers. I don't do Geminis. I buy my mailers from a bulk place, right? And they're 4-corner mailing boxes. But just like you said, Philip, right? When they get to the door, all right, they ordered the product. Like all of you guys said, I keep them updated, right? I talk to them. I try to remain engaged with them. But now they get this, something they forgot about for maybe 4 or 5 weeks. This pops up at the door. They're like, oh, what is it? Right? So now I'm locking in their brain. Yeah. They're excited. They open it up. They get the gear. They get, right? Maybe they're returning. They get their extra stuff, but they're also getting the flyers and the promos for the next campaign that is coming out. Right? This is the last time that they're going to see me give them stuff. And I want to make sure they say, oh, wow, I want to come back. Some people ship it in manila envelopes. And sometimes you have to. I'm not going to, knock it. Not everybody can do this. This gets expensive. But when you're doing it so long and you learn how to manage your money, you build your budget, and you put that into, your Kickstarter campaign, all right, you'll have the scratch to put that stuff together, and because I really suck at social. I won't say that. I won't say that I don't, right? But I do ask them in one of the flyers, hey, take pictures, show us what you got, engage with the community. Hopefully it'll entice the other people who did not get in on this campaign to get in on the next one.
Mm-hmm. I love those boxes, man. They're gorgeous. I've made it a stretch goal of my last 3 campaigns that I haven't hit. That if I can get far enough away from the goal, I want to buy a small screen printing press just so I can press my own and print the outsides of the Gemini mailers and stuff I already have.
Right.
But but I can't. I got to convince my wife to let me get it, so I got to like make the money on the campaign.
Bro, I know that feeling, brother. You know, I mean, there's times where I'm like, is this gonna make me end up on the couch for a little while? You know, I gotta be careful with that stuff. And I went the screen printing route. We'll talk. You know.
Oh, I'd love to talk to
backstage
you about
after
it,
this,
man.
baby.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right. So, gentlemen, I got a final question for all of you. We're gonna move back away from so much business, and hopefully this will be a little bit more fun. We're in the month of Halloween, so there's a question for you guys. All of you read comics, I would imagine. What is your favorite horror comic? What is your favorite horror comic that you've read, including your own? Right?
Including your own.
Excluding your own, yes. So yeah, so Nandor, you're gonna have to think fast, guy.
Man, yeah, you're putting me on the spot here. Okay, so let me think. Okay, so I have two answers to that question, and the reason why there's two is because one's a mainstream, like, Marvel DC book, and then the other is a Image indie title. So my favorite horror mainstream book that I've read is probably Deceased by Tom Taylor and Taylor, I think, Hairsine, I think is how you pronounce his last name. But all the DC superheroes are basically they get a virus and they become violent and zombified and everything. It's kind of like Marvel Zombies, but it's a little bit different. And they have to actually evacuate Earth, and they have to leave Earth and find a different planet to habitat. So that book, it surprised me. It's one of those books I'm like, it's an Elseworld story. Like, is it going to be that good? But Tom Taylor does a really good job at putting those heroes in that situation. And a lot of heroes are dying. It's very dramatic. It's very interesting. It's like, who would live, who would die in this kind of scenario? It's almost like 28 Days Later meets DC superheroes, and I think that's a really interesting concept. So I enjoyed that. And then I'd probably say my second favorite horror book is Outcast by Robert Kirkman and Paul Azatea. I don't know how to say his last name either, but that book in particular was very, very good. I love the art for it, and very good character work in that book. So those are my two picks.
All right, cool. Mr. Fish, what are your thoughts?
Man, I'm trying to remember the name of it, and it's a name that it's not an easy name to remember. I enjoyed I Drive for Cerber, the 2 issues of that, but the book I'm thinking of, I can't remember it. It's somebody I met on one of these shows, and I backed it, so I'm trying to look through my list of books I backed, but it's a lot of books, and I can't find it on the top of my head.
All right.
It was a good one.
All right. Deece, what are your thoughts? What do you got?
I would have to go with Moonshine by Brian Azzarello and Eduardo Rizzo. It's based around the Prohibition era, and these moonshiners who are also lycanthropes, and these New York mobsters that are trying to get their moonshine in business. I'm a big Brian Azzarello fan, being a fan of noir crime stuff, and it's not like a slasher horror, but it's definitely horror overtones.
Well, that's the 100 Bullets team, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's
great creative team. Both creators I love a lot. So if you haven't checked it out, Moonshine is a killer read in my opinion.
I gotta check that one out. All right, Jay, what are your thoughts?
I'm trying to think of one. I don't want to go to The Walking Dead. I liked it. That was something that I was looking forward to every every month. Excuse me. I mean, my stuff, New York versus the World, is a great zombie book.
There you go.
I did preface that. Yes.
I mean,
But I appreciate you enjoying your own stuff. Yeah.
yeah, it's not just that I'm enjoying it; I'm enjoying people's reactions to it. Right when people read it and they're like,
The Walking Dead. You
yeah,
appreciate
The Walking Dead,
Yeah.
right? When I get the comments back on the book, and when people come back, and it's just like, yeah, man, I'm glad you noticed that. I guess I was doing a good job. But horror stuff for books wasn't my jam. Fantasy, supernatural, yeah, maybe some dark fantasy, but my horror stuff was always movies.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. All right. I'll answer my own question. I got two. So Kelly Jones, The Hammer. So pretty much a little obscure. It's about a guy who he's possessed by an alien that's attached to the back of his head. So his head is like this huge thing, and he runs around hunting and killing demons, and that's what he does. And anybody who gets in his way, it doesn't matter. Like he'll just plow right through him. And he ends up like the guy is just a normal guy, but when he has that alien thing attached to his head, he transforms into this giant, huge, hulking guy. It's very weird. And like I said, Kelly Jones. So the artwork's real funky and
yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. Another one's a story called written by Bruce Jones, illustrated by Bernie Wright, and it's called Jennifer. It was adapted into I don't know if any of you remember Masters of Horror. It was a TV show for a little while, but it was done by, I forgot the director, which one. I don't know if it was Casillas. I don't know. But they adapted the story. And basically the story is about there's a guy driving and he sees another guy on the side of the road. He's driving through the woods, sees another guy on the side of the road about ready to chop off this woman's head. And he runs out of his car. He's like, yo, dude, what do he stops the guy and he has to fight the guy and he kills the guy. Rescues the girl, finds the girl's deformed. Like she's very deformed and her face is just hideous. He takes her in, he feels bad for her, But one of the caveats of the story is that she has, I guess, the perfect, classic, beautiful body, right? And she ends up seducing this guy. And she ends up like killing his dog. And she ends up like murdering a few other people. And that's why the other guy was trying to kill her. And it's very, very interesting. The guy ends up in this relationship where he ends up horrified by her and he can't resist her, right? But her face is hideous, okay? But he sees her body, and it's very, very interesting how, we are as men psychologically like, you like I said, you put the paper bag over her head. It's that classic story.
Somebody was dealing with a bad relationship.
Yeah. And the thing is,
100%.
this story.
I thought I was saving her, but she turned out to be a monster.
Right. This story is from the 70s. They it was written and illustrated like I think in the 70s or the early 80s. So I mean, it's definitely an older story. It's called Jennifer. I think it was originally printed in probably one of the Eerie books, Eerie or Creepy, one of those.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Jay, you got another question, real quick? Short one, fast one. Come on.
No, I got nothing.
This question was so tough. Alex took off, man. He couldn't answer it.
Yeah,
He got scared.
Oh, shit.
They don't have Halloween in Australia, so he got
They don't. They
Come
don't.
out.
I hope they do. Halloween's the greatest holiday.
I have a question. If we got time for it.
No, good.
Talking about concerns and stuff in comics and whatnot. I know Nandor's got several different stories going at one time. I've put out several different stories, and I know partly I have a messed up view of it because my brain runs so crazy fast that I'll put out a book and I think it's been out for a year and it's only been out for a couple of months. And I'm like, well, if I haven't sold that much since then, maybe I should just cut this book. and other people are like, most people haven't even heard of this book yet because it just came out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my thing is, I'm trying not to think from inside my brain that's running at lightning speed, but when do you like know when to cut bait on a story? Like when do you decide what would be the line for you to say, you know what, this isn't worth the time, effort, and money I'm investing in it to keep on this series. I could go on to another story.
It's fair. Deece, what are your thoughts, man?
Personally speaking, I mean, I don't know. I guess I would ask the question: Are most of your stories serialized in perpetuity, or do they have an end point where you're like, this book is 10 issues, this book is 20 issues, and you're just going through them, or is it like Justice League where it's until a bazillion issues, you know?
Like my series Green Zone, the beginning of it starts with a 4-issue arc that's just their first shift on the force, but its intention was to go on in perpetuity like a cop show.
Yeah.
Call was the same way, just to go on, you know, in perpetuity like a He-Man cartoon. You know, when we last saw our hero, he was hanging off a cliff, and then you have action, and then, you know, oh no, here come the monsters, and, you know, pick up next issue.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, the things I write are closed-ended. So I kind of have, and you know, like this is one I'm doing now is 10 issues. The one I'm doing next, I have planned for about 25 issues. And so I kind of know it's going to be done. In a situation like that, what my approach personally would be, I would want to put as much creative effort and time into making one thing really good, into making, you know, 10 things kind of good, if that makes sense. Like from a stand-up comedy aspect, like I've worked with a lot of new comedians, and, you know, that I want to take on the road and to open for me. And I'm like, you got to have 20 minutes. You got to have a solid 20 minutes. And I'm like, I would rather you do the same 20 minutes every night for a year and be able to do it in your fucking sleep with the flu, instead of having like a meandering 35 where there's times where you're losing people and shit. So my point of view would be like, put all the creative effort into one thing and push it to make it the best thing it is, or can be. Now, having said that, I think there is room to like take a pause and maybe put something else out to maybe refresh creatively, and also maybe draw on a different audience, and then maybe convert that audience to your other books. Which again, I think goes back to what we talked about earlier in marketing, is like, you're marketing your books, but I think at the end of the day, where a lot of creators fail is they're not marketing themselves. And you want to make people a fan of you, no matter what you create. And if you're, you know, my goal when I write is every project I look at wanting to write a drastically different thing, because I want the portfolio to be wide, so I can catch a wide net of people, and then those people who may not have looked at this project be like, oh, I like this guy, let me swim over to this thing and see what he's doing, and be able to hopefully get some of those people. So I don't know if that answers that question off of that. I think it's, maybe taking time to create others, but the big key is, I say focus as much as possible on the one thing to make it the best you can be.
Cool. Nandor, what are your thoughts?
So Fish, I think what you should do, or, you know, I guess my advice would be, because I'm kind of like Deece in the way that I think of my stories as finite things, you know, that has a beginning, middle, and end. And I haven't ever thought of my stories as anything that could go ongoing more than, you know, maybe 15, 20 issues, something like that. If you're, I think if you're kind of questioning if I should continue with this story, I think you should at least finish an arc, right? Like at least finish that first arc, and kind of, and look back and see, look at the numbers, like how many backers for each book, is it growing? Is it not growing? And then also, um, just the feedback you're getting. Like this story is it selling more than my other stories? And also, you could even put a poll out there, or you could message the backers and be like, hey, do you want more of this? Is this something that you guys want? Do you want to see what the next story would be and what we could do? But I think you, of course, you never want to stop a story in the middle. You always want to finish that arc, finish that story, and then you
Oh,
can
my
kind of look
OCD, I
back.
gotta finish it. I got
Yeah,
to.
no, exactly. I'm the same way, and so it's like like come whatever, come what may, like this story is getting done. The story is getting finished, and even if I'm not seeing a profit on it, I'm going to finish it, because you are going to have those backers and those people who want to see what happens. The people who have been buying that story and who want to finish the arc, or the main plot that's going on with there. So I think that's important to kind of look back on. See if that series is paying for itself almost. Like how much time am I putting into it? How much money? If you're putting in money into it, and am I getting the
I still
return
gotta pay my
on
artist.
Yeah.
And dude, it's a
that?
lot.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, I think and then also besides all of that, I think if it brings you joy and you're really enjoying it, that's going to come out when you talk about it, and you're someone who has a lot of that. And I know you're so invested and passionate about your stories, and you love what you're doing, that I think that's infectious, and that will uh, bring other people to it. And if someone sees, hey, this guy is on issue 9, 10, 11, or whatever of the story, and he's not stopping, that's one, that's inspiring, but two, it shows that your commitment to it. And um, not a lot of people can say that. Some people quit after issue 2, right, or issue
Mhm.
1, and they
Oh,
never
some
come
people put out
back.
a lot
So
of issue 1s and never put out an issue
yeah,
2.
I know. So my thing for me as a creator, I'm like, if this is rewarding for me, um, then it's worth it. And so I think if you're still feeling that with that series, you know, there's no reason why you shouldn't continue it in some way. Maybe not in the same way you have been, like issue by issue by issue, but you could kind of shake it up a little bit, and either make it a part of your newsletter or a web comic, or only do a trade. Like the next arc only comes out in this. So it just depends. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, if you're getting a lot of satisfaction from working on it, and it's worth it to you, then there's no reason to stop.
All right. Cool. Jay, what are your thoughts?
I already like set it up for a 4 issue arc, and if it does well, then I'll expand beyond that. I've never I never had a cut bait um, at this point yet, So I've been lucky with that. Yeah, I set it up for a 4 issue arc, man. So like the Storm Chasers, it went 4, did well. I ran a second 4. Um, Interceptor, we ran 4, went well. So we're starting the second 4 on that. New York versus the World, we topped it out at 3, but may go more. The other thing with that is I set it up for also like a 100-page trade, so it doesn't just have to be the 4 issues. Like our character guide, I only did 3 issues, but when we got to the trade, it was a solid 100 pages. So the character guides, like the old Marvel Universe handbooks,
Mhm.
right? They were beefy on the single issues.
Yeah.
It was 1 page of art for me, and then just 1 page of like details, so I could put a little bit more into that. But I haven't had a cut bait yet. I've had a couple of collaborators bounce, be it because we weren't maybe working well, or maybe they got another gig, and who am I to stop people from putting money in their mouth? You know, if you could get a better page rate from this person, all right, we're good to go. You know, God bless. God bless. Um, yeah, that's where I'm at with this.
All right, cool. So I'm gonna show you guys something I rarely show anybody. So,
Uh-oh.
so for the Oswald Chronicles, right?
Sounds like Catholic school again.
This is this is a list of all of the stories. Well, of the first arc of all of the stories.
Wow.
Okay. This is the second arc.
Uh-huh.
Now these are stories, not individual issues.
Yeah.
These are stories, and this is the third arc, right?
Wow.
The series is completely written. I'm pretty sure I'm closing in on 2,000 pages, and I probably got another 2,000 to go. So my answer to you, Fish, is I'm too stupid to stop.
how far are you right now, JD? Like, how far are you still finishing the first arc, or?
We're actually closing in on the second, closing out the second arc. So then we're moving into the third arc, which, like I said, finishes the series. Right now it's 13 stories. It might get expanded to 14. I haven't decided yet, but those 13 stories are finished, and that part of it is done on my part. It's just getting all the artwork done, and it's one of those things where it's just like I'm working with multiple artists, and then on top of that, I've taken on, I'm doing Magi's Grace with C. Michael Manning, great book. The second issue of that is coming out soon. Dreamweavers, which is a book that I started in the 90s, and I just want to finish it. Myself and Matt Lunsford, the artist, the other creator, we got 3 issues into it. We got another 3 issues to go. Those have been written forever. And I want to finish it, and it's just one of those things.
Yeah. Yep.
And that doesn't include Tall Tales. I have one more arc of that, which is probably, initially, years ago, we have the first arc, which is 20 issues, which is done in the can. The second issue, eight issues. Daphne is finishing up 7 and 8. That'll hopefully get done in the next year or so. And then I have to go back to the drawing board to finish that last arc. And originally I was like, yeah, it's going to be 30 issues. And then I was like, nah, let's cut it down to 20. And now I'm like, man, 8, maybe 10 at most. So, so we're like, slowly but surely whittling those down.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's important to try to finish these stories, especially in Oswald Chronicles. Like I said, when I close it out, 3,000-4,000 pages, God knows, in
that's insane.
Yeah, it's a little bonkers, but I have fun doing it. Some people like to play golf. I
like to write comics. Yeah,
exactly. That's what I do. Mr. Fish, answer your own question.
I'm trying to look at things. I'm trying to look at everything from a more business-minded mindset than the mindset of these are the stories I want to tell and I want to get my stuff out and I want to, I'm trying to look at things from a more business-minded mindset, and I'm starting to keep track of things like how much did I spend on this con? How much did I make from this con? Is this con, even if I had fun, even if I like the people there, does it make financial sense for me to go back to this con for one reason or another? Even how much do hotels cost in this town?
Yeah.
This con I went to Nashville was great and it's run well and I liked the people, but the hotels in Nashville are just ridiculously expensive and make it a no-go until that con gets to be twice the size that it is. So when they grow, I'll go back. Until then, I'm not going to, because it just doesn't make sense. This is my full-time job, so I got to make money and I got to pay the bills. And, so I need to think about things like that. I love my series Green Zone. I could be happy telling books of that for the rest of my life. I've got plenty of stories to go, 20, 30, 50, 100 issues. I've got stuff planted in the first issue that, doesn't pay off until issue 10 or whatever. I love planting little seeds along the way. It might not get there. I'm absolutely putting out issue 4 this year on my Patreon. It's going to be out in time for Christmas for those subscribers. And then it's going to go to Kickstarter next year. And because I have to finish that first arc because my brain won't let me not get 1 through 4 done when it says part 1, part 2, part 3, and the other issue. I can't be that dude that didn't finish a series, an arc.
Yep.
But at the same time, because it's about mutant cops trying to earn their citizenship in a world where it's illegal to be born with superpowers, as soon as I say cops, most people at the con, you see a look come over their face, and whatever they assume I've made this book about has offended them. And that's not what the book's about, but they've already made a decision one way or another. And I'm realizing that it's a harder sell than a bird barbarian killing his way across the galaxy, and people kind of giggle, and I show them the Book of Caw, and I sell the whole set of those. So
you would think no one knows or is related to a cop. I mean, I'm related.
It doesn't matter.
One, and I know several others.
If you are a cop, you're assuming I'm coming at it from the other direction. If you lost your brother to a cop, you're assuming I'm coming to it from the other direction. It doesn't matter what side you're on. You're assuming something that this book is not about. This book is about how much it sucks for this marginalized community and how risking their lives in a dangerous job that nobody appreciates and is a no-win situation is the only way to citizenship for them. That's what it's about.
You need to rephrase to the civil servant.
Yeah, it's just, can you find a different word besides cop like that?
And that's one of the things that I try and do is show that it's any civil service job. These guys just happen to have joined the police force, but still, that wall comes down. It's like most of y'all may not know it. Fox knows it, but I've got Tourette syndrome. When I'm explaining it to people, I don't lead with I have Tourette syndrome, because when I say that, people are like, oh, I saw Deuce Bigelow, and they quit listening. And
what? Sorry, go finish. Go ahead. Sorry.
But they quit listening to what I'm saying after that. So I start with, I have a neurological disorder. It's kind of like, the wiring in my brain, like the insulation's thin on the wiring, and it causes a lot of short circuits, which can make me make weird faces and make weird sounds sometimes, makes it hard for me to walk, talk, and see at times, put me in a wheelchair for 15 years. People are listening to what I have to say now, and then I drop Tourette syndrome at the end of it, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that's what it was. And they're listening to find out what this new mystery is. And I might need to find a way to restructure my pitch in that way to make cops be the mystery at the end of the pitch that you find out.
There you go. Yeah.
I don't know. But it's proven to be a hard sell. And when I'm trying to get books out as quick as possible at a con, a hard sell is just one more step when I've got other ones that are much easier to sell.
Yeah.
So,
well, what is your pitch with the word cop in it? What do you say?
I do my pitches in stages. For the first stage of it, because I like to do them in stages and judge their reaction. So, like, if they're not interested, I can either go to the next one or I can let them go and go to the next person. So usually it's Green Zone is following a group of new recruits to the police force on their first shift as they're trying to earn their citizenship in a world where it's illegal to be born with superpowers. And, and there's a big lizard dude on the cover and stuff. And that's the first step of it.
Is the police force in this universe altruistic, or are they like shady? What's the police force like?
Oh, the whole system sucks.
Okay.
I mean, and especially for the genomes, it really sucks.
Maybe just say corrupt law enforcement.
Oh, yeah.
Because you add that adjective of corrupt, you're making the qualifier that you're telling a story about corruption in law enforcement, and you're saying law enforcement instead of cop, which is less of a trigger, but it already plants that seed that you're coming at it from a subversive angle as opposed to any type of positive angle. And even if you're selling it to someone who is a cop, they can probably relate to a corrupt law enforcement.
Like, isn't the justice system messed up,
So just that simple difference might make a difference in your pitch there.
Yeah, because everyone also, they love, at least I really love stories where people are in a system and they're trying to change it, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to be like the change within that system. And so when you can kind of maybe, if the characters are kind of a part of that idea, you can kind of pitch in that way too. Be like, these guys are in this corrupt system, and they're trying to make it better.
Yeah, and you're adding drama, you're dramatizing the pitch a little more too when you say corrupt law enforcement and these people trying to, find their path to citizenship. It adds that little bit of dramatization.
And I go into like their motivations and stuff in the second part of the pitch when I see that they're paying attention. But like I learned with my first book, I was spending so much time getting excited about my book and telling them all about it when nobody cared. And they're glassed over, and I'm so excited I'm not paying attention to look at them. So I've learned to break it down into pieces and to look at them and watch, because my autistic self doesn't want to look them in the eyes. So I make a point of looking to see if they're paying attention. And if they are, then I go on to the second part. If they're still paying attention, I go to the third, and then I pretty much know I got a sale. But I'm all about getting to the know quickly as well. So if they're not paying attention, then I'll wait, see if they ask a question, or if they're like, okay, then I can let them go. Hey, you want to hear about my new book? And get the next person.
All right. Cool. Listen, gentlemen, we made it to hour 2. Thank you so much. This was awesome. Let's start with Deece. Where can people find you and your work, sir?
As for comic books, you can follow us on inferno.earth on Instagram, Inferno Comics on Facebook, and our website is inferno.earth. There's no .coms anymore. All the porn sites have those. So it's just inferno.earth is the actual domain name. The Kickstarter Kill Stand is still live for about 64 more hours. So we do have some late pledges I think you can do for a little bit, but we're trying to hit $5,000 by the time this is over. We're about 4,500 away. So please support. I'm going to be at a couple conventions around Texas over the next few weeks too. So if you're in Texas, follow us and you'll get some dates. You can also follow me at Deece.comedy on Instagram for stand-up comedy dates. I tour all across the country and beyond. I got a special on my website. Deece Comedy is the website. You can buy the special right now. Name your price, whatever you want. You get a download of my comedy hour. So check that out too.
Awesome.
Cool. Nandor, where can we find you and your work, sir?
Yeah, so thanks for having me tonight. This has been a great conversation. Really appreciate it. So people can find me first, Go Back Manchild on Kickstarter. You can find issues 1 through 3 on there. We only got 16 days left, and we're reaching there. We're almost funded, so please help us out. But if you go and do that, and then if you want to follow me on social media, you can follow me at Nandor Fox on Twitter, and you can also follow me on Instagram as well at Nandor Fox Shaffer. And I highly encourage everyone to go to Foxhole Comics on YouTube and subscribe to my channel there, and then also Foxhole Comics Substack.com. You can find me on Substack there. So, or if you just go to Substack and type in Foxhole Comics, I'll pop up. So those are where I'm engaging with people the most, and that I put a lot of my time into. Send me a message if you have any questions, if you're interested in what I'm working on or need advice about anything. I love to help people and talk with them about their stories.
All right, cool. Mr. Fish, where can they find you and your work, sir?
You can find me at, where's Mr. Fish Comics everywhere on social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all of those. And gomrfish.com will take you right to what I'm working on now, which is still the late pledges open for Fish Tales Volume 2. And that's where you can find me. I keep it simple.
Cool, Jay. I know the show's over. Please don't cry. I know you're sad. But go ahead. Where can they find you or your work, sir?
UnstoppableComics.com. You can find me there. All my social media links are on the website. Friday nights, Comic Book Streamland with this guy over here. I don't know if we're going to be doing what. Don't know if we're going to be doing one this Friday with New York Comic Con. Going to try to, but if not, I'll let everybody know in advance. And New York Comic Con, booth 1948, Unstoppable Comics. this Thursday through Sunday. And the Interceptor action figure Kickstarter also launching on Thursday.
All right, very nice. And I'm JD Calderon. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Kickstarter, all these different places. The Oswald Chronicles just finished. It did its thing. Thank you so much, everybody, for that. Next Sunday, we'll be back. We'll have a whole new crew, and it's going to be a lot of blasts. And just remember, everybody, please, go into the show notes, click on those links. All of these creators here, they have books that are in those links. Go check them out. All these creators are doing fantastic books. And I mean, listen, go support these creators. They're doing great stuff. So please go check them out. Thank you so much for being here. And just remember, read more indie comics, especially ours. Have a good night.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.